Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. Just started pouring over here in Cleveland, so if you hear any thunder, it is what it is. This is sort of a continuation of the attempted Trump assassination. I want to cover this kid. I'm gonna call him a kid because he's just a kid to me. So I want to cover him and go over a few things because I think I touched on it a little bit last night, but let's go over it. Okay, Thomas Crooks. I'm going to call him a kid because he's only 20. He looks like he's about 17. Thomas Crooks graduated in 2022 from Bethel Park High School. According to Pittsburgh Tribune Review, he received a $500 Star Award from the National Math and Science Initiative, according to the newspaper. Seemed like a smart kid, like he did good in school. And I want to point out, I'm not here to condone what he did as being good or okay, but there's all day long I've been hearing everybody talk about him and go over him and his identity and all this stuff, but nobody's touched on what I'm going to touch on. So
the FBI identified the gunman as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. They say he fired shots from outside the secure cordoned area of the rally, atop an elevated structure.
He started shooting. Bow, 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 bow. About 4 to 5 shots rang out.
Law enforcement converged on Crooks' family's suburban Pittsburgh home overnight.
They asked us to leave our house. They told us it was a state of emergency. No warning, they just knocked on the door in the middle of the night.
Officials say the gunman fired 6 to 8 rounds from an AR-15 assault rifle before he was shot and killed by a member of the Secret Service counter-assault team. The FBI called it, quote, surprising that he was able to fire at the stage before he was killed.
We do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was.
So they talk about a motive and stuff. Like they want to know his motive. Here's another picture of him in a classroom. It looked like a normal, everyday kid, you know. Haircut, kind of normal. He's looking like he's paying attention to the teacher.
Yeah, he was bullied almost.
Another video here. This one's a little low.
I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, so they're gonna see someone like that and they're gonna target him because they think it's funny or whatever. So it's the best way I can describe it. And it's honestly kind of sad. Like, I don't want to say this is what provoked it, but you never know.
You said he was a loner?
Yeah. I want to say he was a loner more because he was quiet, but like he was just bullied. Like he was bullied so much. So much.
This is high school.
Yeah.
What did they, do you remember at all what they said to him or called him?
No. He was just made fun of, I guess, for the way he dressed or his appearance.
How did he dress?
Like they were just saying jeans. He'd wear hunting outfits sometimes. He would always wear a mask, even after COVID. He wore a mask. Like a COVID mask, like even after COVID was over and all that. Yeah, like a.
So this kid says he was bullied, and then he elaborates. He said he was bullied so much, like I think he said it like twice. And they asked him for what, picking on his clothes. Sometimes he used to wear, I don't know, camouflage or hunting clothes or something. Now we all know kids bully kids in school. But the way this kid made it seem like is he was really getting it good from some other kids. Really getting it good. So let me continue with some more docs I have here. Actually from an article. The alleged shooter of Donald Trump, Thomas Crooks, is from Pennsylvania. His parents are Matthew B. Crooks and Elena Crooks. They are registered Democrats. Parents are 53 years old, so they're like my age. His father, Matthew, is a psychologist and has authored many academic books. His mother, Elena, is a homemaker, but has previously taught in primary school. Their home is a rundown 1,067 square foot property built in 1950 that sits on 0.26 acres. His parents bought it on 5/12/1998 for $87,500. They lived together at the same Bethel Park, PA address. So both parents were registered Democrats, 53. One was a psychologist, one previously taught in a primary school, and the father, I guess, wrote academic books, but it says they were in a rundown property. And they lived there ever since 1998. Let's continue. Thomas Crooks and his parents have been living separately for 2 years now. He allegedly had a big fight with his father before moving out of the house at the age of 18. Thomas Crooks reportedly has 2 siblings, an elder brother who is a plumber, and a younger sister currently in high school. Thomas has previously stayed with his grandparents, but soon moved out after getting reprimanded for taking drugs. Now it's starting to come together. There were rumors that he had a very normal childhood and that his parents were caring and haven't had much arguments or fights at home, which is a typical feature of childhood trauma. Thomas Crooks, the man who tried to kill Donald Trump, donated to Joe Biden on Inauguration Day. When Crooks was 17, he made a $15 donation to Act Blue, a political action committee that raises money for left-leaning and Democratic politicians, according to a 2021 Federal Election Commission filing. The donation was earmarked for the Progressive Turnout Project, a national group that rallies Democrats to vote. The groups did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. You know, I find it strange. He's 17 and he was thinking, and he did make a donation to this party. I just find it strange. Okay, why a 17-year-old would even be involved in doing something like that? And I want to touch back on the parents, both being Democrats. And I'm not saying they're bad parents. I don't know what went on in that house, but I'm wondering if there was this political Democratic talk that was like hammered in that household. Because for him at age 17 to be thinking about this and to make that donations, it's just strange to me. Thomas Crooks has come up in several intelligence reports. Recently, he lives in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, and is known for his extreme views and involvement in violent incidents. Investigations in the Crooks' background reveal links to radical groups, including online associations with people promoting drastic actions against perceived enemies. Thomas Crooks' parents, however, denied having any knowledge about his use of guns or radical ideology. They, however, admitted that they were aware of his assaults on fellow students in college. So, they say they didn't know about his knowledge or use of guns. It's come out that the gun was legal and it was in the father's name. I would assume, because they're from Pennsylvania, and because maybe, you know, the other students said he wore hunting clothes and stuff. I don't know. Maybe the father was a hunter too. So I would think they had some kind of contact regarding that gun in some way. Now, it said they were aware of his assaults on fellow students in college. The other kid was saying how he's bullied in high school. So, Minneapolis demonstrations 2021. Crooks was purportedly part of Antifa actions during demonstrations in Minneapolis, marked by confrontations with police and incidents of arson. He was twice released on bail with help of his parents. So the parents denied having any knowledge about his use of guns or radical ideology. They admitted that they were aware of his assaults on college students, but yet they released him on bail twice? Come on. They're that naive? Come on. This is the kid, okay? I don't know how much time differences in between these pictures. The one on the left, he's probably younger. Maybe he was grade school, maybe early years of high school. Looked like a normal kid, okay? On the right, I see his appearance has changed a little bit. It can't be too many years different. Even his facial structure looks a little bit different, and his hair. And I'm going to tell you, maybe some people agree, maybe some people won't understand or they don't know. His face looks like that of, I'm talking about the picture on the right, of someone that's used drugs. Anyone who's been around, I'm from a big city. I've seen people that have done crack and heroin and all this stuff. His face looks like from drug use. It's my opinion, okay? It starts to get sunk in like that and you see more bone structure. It's just what happens when you do drugs, okay? So, my point of this video tonight is, one, he's no longer with us, okay? For whatever reason, the FBI and everybody, they want to look for a motive. I really don't think there was a motive here. I think it was from his history of being bullied, okay? The drug use compounding on top of that, and him hanging around this Antifa and these garbage people and going to these protests. This is what created this later version of him. So in the thumbnail, when I put how many more, there's going to be more like him. There's been some before him. When you look at all these school shootings and everything going on, a lot of it is troubled kids, okay? Transgender kids have been abused. It's just, I don't know, maybe because we didn't have the internet and stuff when we were younger like this, but I think it's all of this stuff rolling together. Parents not doing the proper parenting. I don't know how you can be a psychologist and a school teacher and this happens to your kid. And it's not even like it happened like late 20s, or early 30s. He was only 20. So from grade school to high school and starting college, I mean, I don't understand. But this, to me, is the problem. This wasn't a political assassination attempt to me. This was a mental break in this kid, okay? And nobody's talking about this. And these are the problems in society. The education, not getting the proper education. Now, it looked like he started off right. He was getting the proper education. But yet you got these bullies who are usually other kids that have their problems, okay? And that's how they act out, to make themselves feel better or to, I don't know, to ease their suffering. They want to pick on someone that's more weak than them, okay? The drugs and these nuts that are in these groups like Antifa, okay? If I hope when Trump gets in there, I hope he recognizes this. I hope he just doesn't look at it as like this was someone just trying to assassinate him. I hope, and especially with what's been going on with this whole political stuff and what we call Trump, dysfunction syndrome or whatever, I hope he really beefs up mental health help in this country, because there's a big problem. There's a big problem because they start a lot of these kids off on medications too when they're younger. You take your kid to the doctor, whatever, and say, he's acting a little wild and this and that. And they need medication. We got to calm them down. They're a kid. They're a kid. The testosterone is running. They're young. They got energy. And I don't know what the stats were. You can go look it up. I remember like a year or two ago, we were talking about it. How much Big Pharma has pushed drugs, legal drugs, onto these kids. It's got to stop. Just because they're rambunctious doesn't mean they need drugs. And then as they get older, and maybe because they were on some of these drugs, or the crowds they start hanging out with, or the dysfunction at home, or the abuse, they turn to other drugs, harder drugs. This society is creating these kinds of people, okay? If you think this is going to be the last time, it won't be the last time. It might be a while for another president, but as far as mass shootings and stuff, it's going to increase because it's getting out of hand. This is the problem, okay? This is the motive. Mental breakdown. He lost it. Whatever snapped up in his brain to think to go do this was a combination of all this stuff that happened to him in his life. Like I said, I don't condone it. But I think really the FBI, if they really want to do a good part of their investigation, they need to really interrogate those parents in the history. They need to go back to that student who said that he was bullied a lot, and he was very adamant about it, and find out who those kids were and start a whole new profiling group to find out how this kid went from A to Z. Okay? That's what they need to do. You know, they like to build these I don't know, algorithms and case files for profiling. Here's a good one. Here's a good one because this is going on over and over and over. It wasn't a far shot. I watched a pro sniper. He did 8 years in the military. He was a sniper. He said, we can do this shot with our pistols. He said, any person that knows how to zero in the weapon and little basic training can make that shot easily. Easily. He said, I'm surprised, you know, he wasn't that far. I think in the last show I put 200 yards, it was 600 feet. Now they've been saying between 130 and 150 yards, which is even less. And I saw a picture, it was basically a straight open shot across the field. And it's not like he took one shot. It was, I believe, semi-automatic. So he took, I think it was 7 to 10 shots. So I think this, it needs to be looked into. This is the problem. This is the problem. The drugs, the education, in these radical groups. We didn't have this when we were younger. And what happens is this internet, they get all this garbage because whatever was going in his mind at age 17 to even think of sending $15 to this Antifa or whatever that Democratic Party is or whatever it said there. I mean, when we were 17, I think we were looking at what video game we're going to get for maybe the Xbox or what tires we're going to put on the BMX bike, something, you know, maybe a new Walkman. We weren't thinking, hey, I'm going to send some money to whoever's running for president. No, something. It's a lot of factors that just all rolled in and destroyed this kid's life, which almost ended the president's life, and it did end a civilian's life. So this is not going to stop unless these problems are addressed, and people need to wake up. Parents are not parenting the correct way. I hate to tell it to you, but for these two parents, a psychologist, I don't know, maybe he's not that kind of psychologist, but you're a psychologist and you were a teacher in the school. I would be a little worried about those people too, because if their own kid ended up like this, and this psychologist and this teacher are involved with the other children, I don't know. Everything needs to be studied. Everything needs to be looked at. But that's basically the show, folks. I didn't see anyone else talking about it. You know, I see this kid, and listen, they're all talking now, just like I said last night about the Secret Service. They say the head guy, he should quit. There was no reason for that. No reason. Anyone who's been in military law enforcement knows that whole area should have been covered. Nobody else was on those roofs over there. Now I'm hearing that a police officer actually came in contact with him and he pointed the gun at the police officer. Should never have happened. If this can happen with this young kid, what do you think will happen if somebody sends a real pro that can hit from maybe 1,000 yards away? I don't know. This country needs to wake up and fix stuff. It's going downhill fast. If you all don't see it, and you don't see what's happening with these kids out here in these streets, how they're running around, tearing up things, robbing and stealing, you know, it ain't just one shade either. It's all of them. They're all doing this crazy stuff. The young population is out of control. Well, my personal opinion, start smacking them around a little bit. That's my honest opinion. And when they get to age 18, ship them to the military so they can learn some discipline. If you can't give them the discipline when they're young, you better try to ship them out when they're 18 so they learn the right way, because it's going to be more of these bad people. It's like a farm. You're just farming these future terrorists and radicals, and they're going to join these groups. So I'm Axel. Like, share, and subscribe. Just a mellow show tonight. I want to go over that. It was bugging me. It was bugging me because I see all these school shootings, these mass shootings and everything. It's always these young guys. Always these young dudes. Something's always wrong with them mentally, but it's from stuff that's happened in their life. You know? I'm going to tell you a story. I got 2 stories for you, actually. I remember when my younger brother, he was in 5th grade, and a kid jumped him, broke his nose. Had to go to the hospital and everything. You know what happened? The next day, someone beat that kid really good at school, and my mom gets a phone call at home. Says, we have a problem with one of your kids. Oh, what did one of my sons do now? Now, there was 4 boys and 1 girl. And my mom asked the school, what did one of my sons do now? So it wasn't one of your sons, it was your daughter. My daughter. So yeah, your daughter jumped the kid who jumped your son and beat him up really good. There was one problem, though. My sister was in like 2nd grade. And this kid was in 5th grade. But my sister grew up around 4 brothers, so she was a little bit, she could take care of a little bit business, We raised her a little bit tough. My mom told the teacher straight up, don't call me for this bullshit no more. And this is private Catholic school. Don't call me for this bullshit no more. My youngest son got his nose broke. And now you're telling me that my sister, like 2-3 grades below this kid, beat him up. A girl beat up the boy. My mom said, good. End of story. That was it. Over. Last story. This was years ago, probably my mid to late 20s. I'd been home from the military. I was actually playing cards, having a couple brewskis. And I think it was me, 1 other white guy, and like 4 black guys. Okay? All enjoying our time, playing little cards. I get a phone call. It's the brother that's 2 down from me. He's like the middle brother. I said, what's the problem? Tell me some kids are jumping him. They keep trying to beat him up. I said, really? I said, we'll talk about this when I get home. The black guys I'm playing cards, they say, hey, what's going on? I said, I don't know. My brothers told me some kids are like messing with him. So I don't know, deal with it. Go, no. Let's go take care of it now. Let's go get your brother. I said, okay. We go and we pick up my brother. And they tell him, listen, we're going to take you by the house, drop you off up the street a little bit. You start walking past the house. I swear to you, I thought somebody was going to get killed that day. My brother started walking past the house, and these kids, my brother was about 15. These kids were like 18 plus. They came out of the house when they see my brother and tried to jump him. And I swear to you, I seen 4 black shadows run past me. No joke. I seen them stomping on one kid in between the cars. I seen another one getting plastered in the front lawn. I seen one going in the house. I seen the brother go in the house and snatch him by his collar out from the house, drag him downstairs. I mean, they got demolished. And it happened so quick. I was like, what the hell? And that was it. And we left, put my brother in the car. And they told my brother, hey, just let your brother know if you need any more help, And we went back to playing cards and everything. And I asked them, I said, well, I don't get it. Why'd you guys do that? They said, hey, you're always cool with us. You're always cool with us. You're straight with us. You got a prom, we're coming, We don't expect you to come to our prom because a lot of times we're in the hood, and you'll be the only white guy. I said, oh, I get it, But it was mutual respect. And one of the other guys actually was an Army veteran also. I got another story for you. Okay. I like to share these stories because these are history. These are stories. It's how we took care of stuff back in the day. Actually, I was with a Navy buddy. We were home and we were in the reserve unit out of Cleveland. We were passing another school, and the school was closed. It was after hours. But we seen a car with some big kids giving some younger kids a hard time, like young kids. And these were 3 big kids. So we turn the car and we fly in the parking lot. We say, hey, what's going on? And they had some choice words for us. We say, hey, these kids are like, 12, 13 years old. And you guys are like 17, 18, And before you knew it, My buddy's got one on him, and I got two on me. My buddy, he grabs the club from the car, and he's using the club. I got beer bottles flying past me. All I know is I took one of them out quick because it's all I had, and the other one took off running. And then it was funny because the priest came out from the school, because a lot of the private schools, they have priests. Comes up, please, stop. My friend says, don't worry, Father. We know the routine. We'll come to confession later. I said, yeah, Father, don't worry. We'll be there. And that was it. We helped the kids up, and we said, you all right? This and that, and we sent them on their way, and those other kids left. But we weren't going to let them bully. We weren't going to let them jump them, and we weren't going to kill the kids, you know. I mean, they were probably trying to kill us with the beer bottles and stuff, but these kind of jokers, you got to take them down. Take them down. They're just a bunch of street trash, you know. And those are the people that do that stuff to these other kids. I'm hoping that those kids, I don't know who they were young at the time. I hope they remembered in their mind, hey, these big guys, they came to help us out, you know. And I don't know, maybe they became something. They didn't fall in with the bad crowd. So, anyways, that's Axel Stories for today. I'm getting out of here. That's all I wanted to say. So, just some thoughts for you today. And let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. You want to send me a coffee or something, all my links are there. If you want to join as a channel member, sponsor the channel, fine by me. I'll catch you guys all in the next one. I'm out of here.